Wonder Tag podcast. Happy New Year. Today we're going to do a list of tiers. Year tiers.
You're okay, okay.
It was like bad
I
tempo.
it was bad tempo. I don't know. I didn't quite the tiers. I don't know, but we do have a tier list today, which I'm excited to do.
Yeah, happy New Year to the Wonder Tag podcast listeners. We were off for 2 weeks. I think we were originally just supposed to be off for 1 week, but we didn't really neither of us messaged each other on that second week, and I was like hoping that you weren't going to message me. So I was pretty happy
Yeah.
to take a second week off, but we're back. It's been 2 weeks. I'm excited to be back. Now that it's been a few weeks, I feel like we have some stuff to talk about. How was your holidays?
It was good. I spent a lot of time mostly doing two things: hanging out with my family. We binge watched Survivor. That's our
Nice.
show that we watched together as a family. And I played a lot of TFT, just video games. Nice little break from Pokemon, something to take a little bit less seriously. And I'm actually really excited for Toronto Regionals now. I don't know if you ever get like fatigue or like Pokemon fatigue where you play a lot for a while, you get kind of tired of it, take a break, you come back, and it's like, oh, this is kind of fresh again. It's almost like rotation happened, but like it didn't. I just took a little break. Yeah.
No,
What
I'm,
about
I'm
you? What'd you get
hoping
up to?
I'm hoping for a rotation. Yeah, about the same. We binge watched all of the John Wick movies. We did 4 John Wick movies and Ballerina. So
Nice.
that's a solid like 12 or 13 hours of movies. And the first one's like an hour and a half, and you get to like John Wick 4 and it's 3 hours. They just
In
increase
one
the length
sitting?
every single time. What was that?
Not did you do it all in one sitting?
No, no, it was 2 days.
No.
So we
Okay.
we did like two movies at them in the morning and like one movie and then two movies. But it's a lot. And it is just 3 hours of fighting like every single movie. There's
Yeah.
a lot of cinematics in the action scenes, but it's all just action scenes. It's good though. It's really, really good. Other than that, got up to some gaming myself here. I was playing a little bit of Clash Royale. I know that you've kind of quit with level 16 coming out. The game
I'm
is
out.
in
Well,
it's in a tragic place. I don't know. My deck is like gotten nerfed to the ground, so I'm kind of just trash, but um the game is getting destroyed by all these like 2.2 elixir like log bait decks that are all over the place, and I'm just getting crushed. It's not good. So I'm gonna be done with Clash Royale soon. I think I can't keep this up.
you need a new stupid game to play. I feel like it's important to have different kinds of hobbies where like you have some where you're like really invested, and for us, I think that's Pokemon, and then other hobbies where you can just kind of casually play them. So we need a new stupid mobile game. If anyone has any recommendations for stupid mobile games, put them in the comments. But don't say Brawl Stars. I've already done that one.
That's gotta be worse than my Clash Royale.
Yeah, no, it's cooked. It's cooked. It
All
used to
right.
be good when there was like 10 characters. But
I liked I liked when it was when you could play it like face up as opposed to like having to play it sideways. And they forced you
yep.
to play in landscape mode. I just quit. I couldn't do it. Tier list time. How's a tier list sound?
Cheerless time. There we
So
go.
we are gonna do this 1 week early. We were thinking Toronto Regionals is not this weekend, it's next weekend, so we could have pushed this off to next week, but a lot to talk about. I think the format has actually developed quite a bit since we chatted last. We haven't had any majors, but what that means is there's not a ton of data to go off of outside of word of mouth local tournaments, but hopefully this can bring some concreteness to the sentiment of current state of the format going into Toronto Regionals. So we got the tier list builder on Trainer Hill here pulled up. We got the top 10 or so meta decks. I had to put in Pulsard because Pulsard wasn't originally in the tier list. I had to make sure it got in. It's just too good to not include. So I think we'll get through the tier list and give our thoughts on the decks. I know Rowan used to have a sentiment about a certain deck in this tier list that he thought was just absolutely horrible. And I think there might be some differing sentiment today on that deck. So I'm looking forward to hearing some insight from our
Uh,
fellow Wonder Tag host.
Are we gonna start there then, or are we gonna start with Dango?
No, let's start. Let's start there. I feel like this is a fantastic place to start. And if you haven't, everyone's got a wonderful YouTube channel. You're gonna see that he top aided a League Cup with this deck recently. What did you lose in top eight again?
Yo, chill, man. The YouTube video hasn't even dropped yet. I haven't edited it. But I lost to okay, it's a twofold. There was two cups. The first one I lost in top 8 to Greninja EX. Yo, that deck's kind of scary. He went like turn 1 or turn 2 Grand Tree into Pidgeot, and then turn 2 Grand Tree into Greninja, and then just like board wiped me 3 turns in a row, and like it was devastating. And then the second one I lost to Okidogi, which I don't know how that happened. I
It
didn't
was
even draw that bad. Like I had a
Okidogi?
Dragapult, or not Okidogi, Blood Moon or Saluna, sorry. I mix them up, the one prize fighting Pokemon.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Like I think one of the games it was egregious. It was like Iono to one into blah blah blah. But the other one, like that kind of lines up well into Dragapult. Like it one shots you. There's a lot of Monkey Dories. They have the Soul Rock for draw power now. I don't know. I might be we might need to get Oki or not Okidogi, Blood Moon or Saluna onto this tier list.
Okay, let's do it, man. I don't even know if they're gonna have this as an archetype I can choose. It's down there. Okay, Ursaluna, Lunatone, and
Yes, sir.
Greninja
Oh
EX.
my
Put
gosh.
them in. Put them in the Put them in the tier list.
Yo,
So,
I think I would put them above some of the other decks that we have in this list.
dude, I think if I
Like they're
asked
going
you this
above Raging
question,
Bolt.
if I asked you this question in October, I think they might be going above Dragapult.
Oh, they might be. No, 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 no. Okay.
So,
Yeah,
uh,
my tune on Dragapult has definitely changed
yeah,
recently. I've been playing a lot of it. Um, I think there's two major things that have kind of made me change my mind on Dragapult. Um, what I really didn't like about the deck was that I thought, yeah, D tier, F tier. Um, I thought the deck couldn't beat Guardy, couldn't beat Jelly Guardy, and couldn't beat Dango. Um, and I think I was just wrong that the deck can't beat Dango. I've watched some more games, played some more games of the matchup, and I feel like Buddy is a force. Like a lot of the times, you're able to just item lock. Dango can't get the optimal setup, and then you're able to find some really strong Ionos. Like yeah, if they go like triple gimme into triple Dango, like full board, yeah, like so the draw power from Soul Rock Lunatone is significant. Um, but also they don't have Research Pro anymore, so killing that first pull, like, and I think you know this too with Zard, it's like you play Iono, you put Zard in the active on like turn 2 or turn 3, and it's like, do you really have 8 energies to knock out my Dragapult or my Charizard? Maybe not. And if they don't, well, we're back. So
you know what else this
I think,
Dango
yeah.
deck doesn't have? For some reason, it doesn't have a fourth Goldango. You know the amount of lists I've seen with 4-3 Goldango? I I can't get behind it in the Masters metagame. I I've seen like so many 4-3 Dango lists, and I've played a lot of these Dango games where they prize a Dango, and then they're sitting on double Dango Gimme Ghoul, and you're able to get like a board wipe of all three because they just
Yeah.
don't have a third Dango to evolve into. Plus, it's just terrible for your opening odds to evolve into your first Dango if you don't get Genesect down. Um, I am loving the 4-3 Dango as a Dragapult. If I'm
Oh
playing
yeah.
Dragapult right now, like that is really really nice. So, uh, I still think it is going to be at least a little bit Dango favored, but I agree they're making some
Oh
structural
yeah.
adjustments that are really good for you.
Yeah, and speaking of structural adjustments, I think Gardevoir has made a lot of structural adjustments that work against it in the Dragapult matchup. And um, specifically, something I've been doing, which I've talked to you about, is I play 2 Brock Scouting and 3 Budoos in my Dragapult list right now, which I'll talk about more in depth in my YouTube video when I get that released. But essentially, the idea is a lot of Jealous and Gardevoir lists are built to use Frillish to KO Budoo, break the item lock, and then they play a lot of rare candies, right? They don't play a lot of Curlias, they don't play a lot of TM Evos. And so by playing 3 Budoos and 2 Brock Scouting, I'm able to just keep throwing more and more Budoos into these Frillishes. Yes, you give up like 2, 3 prizes, but it just doesn't matter because you go down all those prizes, you play an Iono, and Gardevoir has no stability. So I've also heard some talk of like Charm, like heavy Evo Guardy, which is actually bad for me in the way my Pult deck is built. But I mean, we'll get to that later. I don't. I still think Jelly Guardy is the best Guardy deck by far.
I agree with you, but the masses don't. think for themselves. They think about what's been posted in the Henry Chow Discord in the last
Yeah, I
two
know.
weeks,
Like,
which happens to have two TM Evos in it. So
dude,
I
I'll
would not.
actually be shocked if he plays that build. I'll be shocked.
I I don't think that the Dingo matchup is nearly as good, which is my main drawback on that version. Okay, we'll talk about when we get there, but I do think that it's at least still reasonably strong into Dingo. That was one of my main concerns. So if you can have your Dingo matchup be okay and have your Dragapult matchup be okay, then that's nice. But I feel like you can just do that with Jelly Guard. So
Yeah, that's what yeah, A
Dragapult
tier.
Dusknoir, yes,
I'm not vouching for an S tier. No, like Gardevoir is better, significantly so. Um,
thank you. You didn't even talk about the fact that like Charizard Noctowl's existence is might be the
yeah,
number one best thing to happen to this deck since October. Well, honestly,
no, absolutely.
every single meta development and shift has worked out favorably for Dragapult since Megas came out. Like Charizard play rate got higher and higher and higher. The way that Charizard decks were built became more and more item reliant. The Gardevoir Jellicent decks moved further and further away from Evo and thick Gardevoir lines. Like, really, everything has gone right positionally for Dragapult, but Charizard Noctowl might be like the biggest thing. This is something that I guess we'll talk about a little bit later. But Charizard Noctowl came onto the scene with the regional dub. But the crazy part about it is how big of an impact it's had uh, post the regional dub. So we're expecting to see a solid chunk of this deck um, going into Toronto, and I'm actually very surprised with the actual raw percentage that's going to see. I think it's pretty strong, but I think that it was actually pretty strong before it got done, and it didn't actually get that much stronger. Just people now are willing to accept auto losing to Dragon Ball now for some reason. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit. But percentage wise for Dragon Ball Dusknoir, what are you thinking?
Well, I think it'll be the third most played deck. I think Guardian Dango will be higher.
Yeah,
I could even like see it being more people play Charizard. I kind of doubt that. I don't know.
I doubt
Um,
that.
yeah, maybe like I would put it at like 11%, 10%. Does that sound about right to you?
I have a follow up question. I put a ton of bulk decks on this tier list, but I have the sentiment that this format is becoming more and more centralized as time goes on. You share that
Yeah,
sentiment?
yeah. Like I'm putting Raging Bolt and Terra Box at like 2% max.
Yeah. I think they're actually less in Stuttgart
Yeah,
in day
like
two.
one.
Like Alakazam had more meta share combined than Terrabox and Raging Bolt, I think.
That's hilarious.
Um, I think that Dragapult actually will be heavily played, more than 11. I think it's going to be 12, maybe 13 even. And not
Okay.
necessarily because it's specifically Dragapult Dusknoir that's really good, but people are just not playing the inferior decks as much anymore. Um, Grimmsnarl's falling off, Raging Bolt's falling off, Sarah Ledge is falling off, Mega Absol is falling off. A lot of these decks were
Hmm.
commanding 5 to 7% before and are kind of falling into that 2%, 3% range. And I think a lot of that's just going spread out among the top four decks. I think we have like a very much a square format here with those top four making a ton of the meta share. So I'd want to go in the middle. I think at maybe 12. That's 12
Yeah,
sounds.
let's do it. As long as Gardevoir and Dango are higher, I think that's something that,
They will.
um, yeah,
They definitely will. So
yeah.
I want to continue my sentiment on Charizard Noctowl here. Um, Charizard Noctowl is really good. And I have never played Charizard Noctowl because of the Dragapult matchup. And before Dawn came out, Charizard Noctowl was still really good, but still lost to Dragapult Dusknoir. I think that the Dawn version of the deck is a little bit stronger than the previous version that would just play Lily's Determination and 4 Ultra Balls and draw more cards as opposed to searching for all of its cards. But I don't actually think that Dawn is as substantial of an upgrade as people think. It definitely makes the deck better, but I think it only takes the deck from a tier B, tier C deck to a tier A deck because you do just fold off to Dragapult Dusknoir 85% of the time ish. And it is really hard to take effectively an auto loss into a top 3 deck. But compensation for it is really, really good. You have um, positive matchups against almost everything else in the format, and uh, you probably have the best aggression out of any deck in the format. I think your aggression is even better than Goldango's is. So I like to think about this deck as high B tier, low A tier, one of the two. What are your thoughts on Charizard Noctowl?
Yeah, I would go A tier. Um, to me, I think when I look at the format, Dango, Guardy, Pult, and Zard, and maybe Zoroark, but I think those decks stand out above the rest. I think they're significantly better. So I think I would put it A tier. I do think it's worse than Dragapult, Dusknoir, and Guardian Dango, but I think it still deserves to be there.
That's uh that's reasonably fair. I think of this deck as maybe high B tier personally. Um Charizard, I just don't I actually just don't love Charizard's positioning with Dragapult probably at the highest usage rate that it has been um in a long, long time. If you want to win a tournament, dodging 12% of the metagame is pretty hard in 14 rounds, especially like a
Mhm.
good converting 12%. So that really does hold it back for me. I like if I have bad matchups to have agency in my bad matchups. I like the ability to outplay my opponent and win consistently in bad matchups if I'm a much better pilot in that match. I don't think Charizard Noctowl really illustrates that property against Dragapult Dusknoir. Uh, 90% of the games that you lose are um, just going to be a result of either you bricking or your opponent just hitting their line that is always going to beat you. So that does kind of knock it down a peg because I do think agency really does play a role in how strong a deck is at the highest level, which I don't think Charizard Noctowl has as much as counterpart of just Charizard Pidgeot. But I think that's a little bit biased, and the objective is probably closer to A tier.
So then would you still play Charizard Pidgeot? Do you think that is better than Charizard Noctowl because of the agency?
It's a good question. Now, agency is really, really important, but you can't take a terrible deck that has high agency if it's terrible into everything. Mega Absol is a really good example of this. Um, super, super, super high agency, but just does not have the matchups to compensate for it. So there has to be matchups that go beyond having agency. But if I'm taking the identical matchup spread, I'm taking the deck with higher agency all day. And
Oh, of
Charizard
course.
Pidgeot still does have a relatively similar matchup spread. It's a little bit worse of a matchup spread than Charizard Noctowl, but it does have more agency to the deck. So I think in terms of how high I would put them on the tier list, it is pretty similar.
Mhm.
But I mean, Charizard Noctowl is definitely higher. One of the things that I actually thought about recently is that no one that actually likes Charizard wants to play Charizard Noctowl. They just want to play Charizard Pidgeot, and the people playing Charizard Noctowl are not Charizard players.
No. It's like the people who have enjoyed the Terra engine, right? Like Raging Bolt, Terra Box, I guess EV Box. It feels very similar to those decks and not like a traditional Charizard Pidgeot deck at all.
Yeah, I've talked to a few people that play Charizard frequently and have played Charizard pre Noctowl, and that the sentiment is, "Hey, I know this Charizard Noctowl deck is really good, and I have no interest in playing it." That also reflects my sentiment with it, and I do respect that it is super super strong, and I might still play it because it is probably the strongest way to play Charizard. But I really dislike the Terra engine comparatively to the hard Pidgeot engine. But yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna make a splash. Uh, I think it's going to take up most of the Charizard meta share. I think it'll be the dominant Charizard variant for sure. So I'm thinking that this one gets up to 7%,
Yep.
8%.
That's the number that was in my mind as well. Yeah, 7. And then like I don't think Charizard will be more played than Dragapult, so I would say like 7 for this version and then 3 or 4 for the Pidgeot version.
Yeah. Um, I think that total Charizard play rate and Dragapult play rate are similar. I think I would honestly think that total Charizard play rate creeps into the double digits for sure. Thinking
Yeah,
11%, maybe 12% even. So I was actually thinking, maybe about 4.5% here.
sure.
But I think this does reflect. I think this does reflect which version is better. The main upside you get to playing Charizard Pidgeot is that agency, but is also if you choose to take a better Dragapult Dusknoir matchup, you have the ability to play a version of Charizard Pidgeot with Psyduck, with Max Belt, with Monkey
Expel.
Dories that does
Yeah.
get you pretty close to 50-50 against Dragapult Dusknoir, but you do end up losing a lot of percentage against a lot of the random stuff, as well as Guardy with Charms. When you cut Dusknoirs, your
Mhm.
Charm matchup gets significantly worse. You can compensate for that with Hero Escape, but it still can be a little bit difficult. So I do think that Charizard Noctowl gets a little bit of an edge for this one. Okay, so Charizard, Pidgeot, B tier, Goldengo, Guardy Jelly, gonna be the two that really round out this top four.
Mhm.
Goldengo first on the list here. Let's put Goldengo where it belongs.
S
S tier.
tier. Well, I would have gone A tier. I think Guardy is like Giga S, but
Really
I do. Yeah, like I understand the power level of Goldango. Um, it's very linear, and I think we talk about agency. I don't think it has a lot of agency. Uh, I
interesting.
think its consistency level is actually not where I want it to be for it to be S tier. Like there have been turbo decks in the past that I feel have been more consistent than Dango Rocks. Like yes, you do take a good Dragapult matchup. Yes, even your Charizard matchup is pretty good. I think maybe not the Terra build.
Terra build's
I actually think
unfavored.
yeah, I think the Terra build's unfavored. But I also think the Guardy Jelly matchup is really bad, and I think Guardy Jelly is a cut above the rest of the format. So I feel um, like if there's two decks in S tier and one of them loses to the other, that just like doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
That's that's a fair take. Linearity definitely hurts it. It has better linearity than any other Dingo deck has had before, though. So I
Yeah,
do think that helps. You have Megalopony answering a lot of the cornerstone issues. I've talked to people
yeah,
debating on decks like Mega Absol and Kangaskhan Bouffalon saying, hey, I can't play cornerstone as my answer. I've heard people saying, hey, I won't even play these decks because I can't beat Goldango with an answer. So, one thing that does stand out to me is that it is linear and hard to counter simultaneously. There are very
yeah.
few good counters for it outside of item lock and a really devoted prize map. And the really devoted prize map is very, very hard to execute if even like a Charizard Pidgeot doesn't have a winning line consistently against this
Yeah.
deck. So I still think about this deck as an S tier, but it is definitely a high A tier in the worst case scenario. It is going to be the number one played deck. It has a really, really high floor. You look at a
Yes.
lot of its bad matchups, and its bad matchups turn into favored matchups the second that you take the first prize card on a single prize board. Every single matchup when you take the first prize on a single prize board, unless your opponent has unfair stamp in their deck, uh,
Yeah.
is going to lead you into a winning line, which is just fantastic. But I do
I
agree with
think
your sentiment on the consistency issues. But you know what? That's not so much of a deck issue as much as a player's building the deck issue. I've noticed this as well with one Poffin. I've actually gone to a list that's playing more than one Poffin now because I've had a number of
mhm,
games where I get the Lunatone and the Soul Rock down, but I just can't get more than one Gimme Ghoul down. And that's where you lose your games, right? You get Itchy Pollen with one Gimme Ghoul, you get a counter catcher Charizard knocked out on a single Gimme Ghoul board state, you get Frillish locked on single Gimme Ghoul. Really, the only way to fix that is just put more cards in your deck that get you Gimme Ghoul. So I'm a big fan of cutting some of the tech cards, maybe even not playing a cornerstone answer, and making sure that I get second Buddy Poffin in there, making sure I still have two artisans in the deck. I think these are really, really important qualities when most of the time your indicator of success is going to be getting set up.
yeah, I like the Artisan a lot. I think against item lock decks, Dragapult, Gardevoir, the recurring value is incredible to get. You know, your Soul Rock Lunatone on turn one, and then get your Gimme Ghouls turn two, turn three.
Yes.
Um,
Also, really, really important when you are playing against a Charizard Pidgeot or a Dragapult Charizard with Unfair Stamp. Unfair
yeah,
Stamp knock out your Soul Rock is almost game losing on the spot without Artisan in play. With Artisan in play, it does save your game pretty much every time. In grab another Soul Rock off of Artisan.
Yeah. What do you think for meta share on Goldango?
I'm high on Goldengo.
15,
Now,
16?
if we look at labs and we look at
Mm-hmm.
Stuttgart, it was up here at 15% as the most played deck. Converted really really well. 21% in day two. It's an absolutely absurd amount of it in day two. So I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm thinking that
Higher.
this
You want to
deck's
go
gonna
higher?
go like 16, maybe 17. I think I'm a little bit too ambitious that players will choose to play good decks. So 16 is probably a more sensible number. But um, like when we looked at Worlds, the Worlds metagame is so unique because people play good decks at Worlds. Like
Yeah.
this is a realistic number for what Goldango should be at, right? When people
But
actually
it won't be
choose
that.
it won't be that, but that's what it should be at. So I think we should be around 16.
Yeah. Yep. I think that makes sense. I think if you are someone who doesn't practice a lot of Pokemon, or this is your local regional and you're just coming to play like your one regional a year, this is definitely the deck to be playing. You know, you have like a week or two to prep. Um, I think you can get close to mastering the deck. Well, depends, but yeah, you can definitely get some good skill set development in a week or two. Play Goldango. I think that's a good call.
I do have a buddy that plays the one regional a year in Toronto.
Yeah,
I gave him Goldengos for his birthday. Shout out to Chris if you're watching this, and he will be playing Goldengo, either
there you
regional.
go.
It the thing about this aggro deck though that is just so good is almost every single aggro deck in the last 2 to 3 years would almost always have losing games if the opponent hit the nuts.
Yeah,
But Goldengo is like the only deck that can self-impose a winning line that it doesn't matter if your opponent hits the nuts if you also hit the nuts.
yeah.
You always can get to a 5 to 3 prize trade against Charizard Noctowl if everything goes perfectly for it, which is just crazy. It's always win your
I'm
prize
pretty
trade.
sure. I'm pretty sure you actually lose to Terrazard if they hit the nuts, right? Like,
Okay, well, sure. If they have like double Duskull on the board on 5 to 3
yeah,
and they double Dusk Noir Briar, okay, I'm being
yeah.
yes. If they go Candy Charizard, Candy Dusk Noir, Candy Dusk Noir, Briar, then I'd just put the fries in the bag.
It is possible if they don't prize any key. I don't. I think it's like kind of reasonable. I was trying to, especially the way I had the deck built and like my one, like that list is probably not good. But if you
That's
are a crazy
Dango.
person, you could build, a crazy person Terrazard deck that just loses to Dragapult even harder. Might as well.
Might as well.
And then, um, yeah, go for that double Dusknoir line.
Yeah. Well, I actually think that is a very reasonable way to play the deck if you are a crazy person. It definitely is the best way to play it against Dingo. He's referring to a
Yeah,
list with like 3-1-2 Dusknoir double stretcher or
yeah.
3-1-1 Dusknoir. Do you have 3-1-1? Is that what it was?
Like I had, I don't know if the one in my video had 3-1-1 or 3-1-2. Um, the idea was like just candy a lot of Dusknoirs. I think it definitely three Duskull. I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter.
Anyways, point is Dengo's really, really good. Best aggro deck that we've seen in super long time.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to well, we already know where your sentiment is at with Gardevoir Jellicent, but what do you think about Gardevoir out Jellicent? Is that an S tier deck? Is that a high A tier deck? Is this a cut below Gardevoir Jellicent still? Is Henry Chow right? Is Lux Cape the savior we all needed? How do you feel about Great Gardevoir?
I mean, it's hard to disagree with Henry Chow about Gardevoir, but I'm going to. I don't think this like I don't think straight Guardy is nearly as good as Jellicent Gardevoir. Like I might even put it below Dengo in the A tier. I think um there's several problems. So I think like the ability to item lock on turn one is so powerful across the entire game. There's so many decks where they go first, they don't play a Poffin, and you item lock and you win the game, right? I think that's a lot of what makes Dragapult Dusknoir strong is that it just does it every game, but it's a little easier to do than Frillish. But even if you're Frillishing, half the time with Air Balloon or with Latias, I think that's incredible. Dango Rocks is vulnerable to it. Dragapult is vulnerable to it. Charizard definitely is. I mean, literally every deck is vulnerable to it. Um, and
Do
then also,
you?
I think. Oh,
You
there you go.
have you been playing Gardevoir Jellicent with, or have you been playing not Gardevoir Jellicent? You've been playing Gardevoir with the one Frillish.
Yeah, I tried that. Um, I don't like it. I don't know. It like feels bad for a few reasons. One, like if your opponent figures out that you're playing one Frillish, no Jelly, they're just never killing the Frillish, and it's kind of a liability. I guess like Dango specifically kind of has to deal with it, but also like you don't have the ability to get into it on turn one, which I think is a lot of the card's power, um, especially against decks that use a lot of Arvins. So yeah, I don't really like it. I think I would either commit to like a full. Well, I would just play the full Jelly build, to be honest. Yeah. What do you think? Do
That's
you disagree? Do you like this straight Gardevoir deck? Have you been playing a lot with it?
I haven't played a ton with it. I played a little bit with it. Like Makani is convinced that this deck is insane, and then when confronted about what's the Dango game plan, he says, "I don't know, like you figure it out."
Yeah, like what?
But he posts that he wins like a 1K or a win a box like 3 times a week with this deck. It feels like on Twitter. So
Dude, he never loses his locals. It doesn't matter what his deck is.
no, it doesn't. He hasn't lost the locals in years.
No.
Yeah, no, but it's having good success online. It's having good success. So even despite the fact I don't know if it's like a cut above just even like Driftloon Guardy or the style of Guardy that Chow played to Monterey with like triple charm Screamtail. Um, it has the results to back it up. So it clearly is performing well enough to still be like a justifiably A tier deck. But my
Mhm.
personal opinion is that the Dango matchup is one that I want to have like really shored up. So I still do prefer Gardevoir Jellicent. I also just like what you said, where free games are good games. Just you have a percentage of games where you're much more exploitative of bad starts. And I think that feels good. I also think that this Gardevoir Jellicent deck is actually quite strong into Charizard Noctowl. I don't like straight Gardevoir into Charizard Noctowl. Um,
Mhm.
from what I can gather, the game plan as Gardevoir, as straight Gardevoir, is like choose first if you know that they're playing it and try to frillish lock them before they can evolve. So then you're still just
Yeah.
playing the Guardy Jelly game plan in a little bit of a sense. And then if you can't do that, it's essentially just spam Screamtail, hunt Duskulls, and get yourself to some sort of winning line. And I don't really see why Gardevoir Jellicent can't just have that optionality, but also do the item locking thing better that matchup.
Mhm.
So I do like Gardevoir Jellicent better. I think it's better into Dragapult Dusknoir. If you play the Evo package, I think it's better into Goldango. I'm not a huge fan of the Latias build. I did play that Latias build, but I might just play a 3-2-2 Guardy with an Evo if I played Gardevoir Jellicent and just have some good stability into a meta where Goldango play rate and Dragapult play rate is going to be really high, and then sacrifice that turn one item lock ability.
Mhm.
So I think of Straight Gardevoir as again a little bit lower than Gardevoir Jellicent, as you said, but mostly not because Gardevoir is bad, but I think Gardevoir Jellicent, and specifically the way that Straight Gardevoir is built, is functionally very similar to Gardevoir Jellicent without as much upside. In Gardevoir Mirror with the Jellicent, in the Goldango matchup with the second Frillish. So yeah, I definitely think it's high A tier.
Yep. I think the same point also holds where like if we're gonna put Jelly Guardy and Guardy both S tier, well, Jelly Guardy beats Guardy. So I don't think that makes a lot of sense. Same with the Dango.
They do have double Evo, double Arvin now, so I don't think it's worse than 40-60. Um, but you have a high percentage of games where you do just get cheesed out of the game immediately. That is one thing about the Frillish Latias build is that your ability to just turn one item lock in like a matchup like Gardevoir Mirror does take away your opponent's agency. You can kind of just cheese them. You don't even really
Mhm.
have to worry about knowing how to play Gardevoir Mirror if you just slam a Jellicent in the active and they fold.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So I can at least give it to that. But Gardevoir Jellicent is, as we are talking about, going to be that S tier deck, cut above the rest. I agree. Super versatile. You look at the rest of the decks in the top four square. Gardevoir beats the rest. of the decks in the top four square the best, I think. So I
Yeah,
don't really
absolutely.
if we have the best matchup spread into the top four and we also beat the junk, what's really to stop us from playing this deck? I don't really think there is much to stop us from playing this deck. So I'm a pretty firm
Nope.
believer on Guardy Jelly BDIF. I'm super, super high in this deck. If it wasn't for the fact that I just don't really like playing this deck that much, I would certainly send it to Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really want to play it, but like as we're talking about it, it sounds so good. Like I'm like between Guardy Jelly and Dragapult, and we're just talking. It just seems so good. The matchups on paper. Like sometimes you just don't play the game, but you play the game enough for the deck to be broken, I think.
Nine supporters is really, really suspect. I have really wanted to put that second Arvin back in and play 10 supporters and the TM Evo and just have a good baseline of consistency. I actually love pairing into Dango as Gardevoir Jellicent for the sole reason that they always give you Pheasantipity, so it feels like I just always get to play the game.
Yeah.
Some of these other matchups, Dragapult Dusknoir specifically, you just don't get to Fez into the game. So if you just open a hand where you can't do anything, there's not really much playability to dig yourself out. Goldango is like one of those matchups where even if Goldango is like 40-60, I would way rather hit Goldango for the amount of agency I get in that matchup. And it just feels so much better as
Yeah.
opposed to get Bidoo locked out of the game, try. So that is definitely a Gardevoir issue. It's always been a Gardevoir issue, but it's at least a little bit more accentuated in the slower matchups. So having a high Goldango play rate really benefits this deck because the consistency issues are just really, really solved by Pheasant.
Yeah. What percentages are you putting these decks at?
Oh, I think that straight Gardevoir is going to have more play rate than Gardevoir Jelly for this one, despite our opinions. That has been the trend almost every single tournament. I think it
Yeah.
maybe saw a little bit more play for Guardy Jelly in Stuttgart, if I'm remembering correctly.
Man, I have to play Guardy Jelly.
Yeah, Guardy Jelly had a higher play
This is
rate.
so disappointing.
Um, I think I think this was the only tournament where Guardy Jelly had a higher play rate, and it's coming off of the back of a first and second place at LAIC, so it naturally makes sense. But um, most tournaments, straight Guardy just has a higher play rate, and off the back of a Henry Chow non Jelly list on the back of people being bored of Guardy Jelly, I think you're probably going to see more straight Gardevoir.
All right, so total, like I would total them up to 18 or 19%. So do is that right? 18, 19% for the two combined? Oh, I guess it's lower.
You give people too much faith.
Bro, the deck is so good. How do we just not play it, guys?
13% here.
Wow.
The Gardevoir is only 13% in Stuttgart. That's after LAIC.
Okay, so lower then. I guess are we gonna just stay constant on that, right? So 13 or 14. I don't see any reason. It should be a little higher.
There's 15 here in Vegas. It's North American regional. 15% deck is probably perceived as about as good as it was then.
Yeah, 15 again.
15, maybe 15.
Okay.
Something like this.
Yeah, 8-7, 9-6, something like that.
Yeah. Somewhere in this range. Because we're so high on Guardy Jelly, we can put Guardy Jelly at 7.
Yeah.
We're single-handedly adding +1 players to the Guardy Jelly total, aka you.
Yeah, no, I've just been converted. I'm unfortunately playing Jelly Guardy.
But
Probably.
just put the Brock scouting in the bag, bro.
No, the Brock scouting pult is so sick. I think it's like maybe favored into actually it's almost definitely favored into the Henry Chow 212 Guardy with like heavy candy jelly list. I feel
Yeah.
really good about that matchup. Yeah.
I played a little bit of that one myself. I lost a game where I took like a 5 prize turn and lost because I knocked out an extra Ralts. They I knocked out Guardy, Jealous, and Ralts, and they had 3 Ralts on their board. And that Ralts knockout was super silly because I opened up a bench space for Fez and Clefairy and Mew. So I like Ionoed them, took this 5 prize turn, and then lost the game on the back of a research Fez. And I was like, oh man, this deck is actually, and I like lost to a really bad combination, but I realized like, oh man, this deck actually is like super, super good in this matchup because I could have just denied that entire play by just not giving them bench
Yes.
space. There's just like so much agency there, and I just like screwed it up because I was not not thinking on that level. But now I'm ready for next time.
All right, you're playing too much Charizard. You're not locked on the diamonds.
I'm dude, I'm like so not locked. I like grinded like 70 games, 80 games or something of the Terrazard on the ladder during the holidays. I had a point where I was like 3 games off Arceus or something for like 3 or 4 days because
My
I would
God.
just pair in. I was playing Charizard Noctowl and I just pair it into like 3 Dragapult Duskers in a row, and I had a stretch where I lost a festival lead like 3 times in a day. It was bad. It was really bad,
What? Shouldn't we like we should be winning that, right?
dude.
Or no?
So do you know what the Seeking does?
No.
It's an attack that like you can attack twice with it, and it's 60 draw two. So I would play it against this one guy that was playing Seeking Vitality Band, and they would just like rip turn 1 or turn 2 Seeking Vitality Band. They go like one shot Hoot one shot Charmander or
And
something
draw
like
four.
that, and draw four. And I had like nothing for that. It was really bad. So I think Festival Lead is actually pretty hard for Charizard. I used to have the opinion that it wasn't too bad, but that Seeking puts in absolute work. They were
No
they were
way.
cooking me. It's like
I mean, I'm getting cooked by Blood Moon, Ursaluna, and Greninja, so I can't judge. Okay, speaking of semi meme decks, what do you think of this Kangaskhan Boufflant deck with the ice cream?
it's it's really good against damage cap decks. So I think that
Yeah.
it has a pretty good time against Dragapult Dusknoir. Uh, well, not like crazy good, but I think it has a pretty good time against Dragapult Dusknoir. I think it has a actually like a pretty decent time against Gardevoir Jellicent. Um,
Mhm.
not like fantastic times. Like I think like the highest level Gardevoir Jellicent players are still beating this deck most of the time. But according to most of the sentiment that I've seen from Kangaskhan players, like Gardevoir players are actually just mess up against this deck quite a bit. I've seen some people playing Shaman in this deck as well, since the main
Mhm.
line for Gardevoir players is just spamming Screamtail every single turn, and that seems to do a decent job at dealing with that. And as a Dragapult player, Phantom diving into a Kangaskhan feels pretty bad at most points with all these ice creams. So your lines get pretty weird, and a lot of times you end up in these really weird late games where you need boss or counter catcher, usually boss almost every single turn, and it can get very awkward for the Dragapult player. If you ever get stuck
Yeah.
swinging into Kangaskhan, it's almost a wasted turn in a lot of cases. So I think that this deck will make a little bit of a splash on the basis that a weaker players struggle with it. I think that people are prepared for it a little bit more now. I think that both Dango players are playing Lopunny, which is bad for Kangaskhan Boufflant. I think that people are playing Watchtower for Charizard right now, which is bad for Kangaskhan Boufflant as a collateral. So I would not expect to see this deck do crazy well, but I think it's a solid tier C deck that will um, still have a little bit of play. I wouldn't be surprised to see a solid 2.5% from this. Maybe someone goes on a deep run with a version of this deck that is a little bit different than the standard list that we've seen.
Yeah, maybe get a Pidgeot in the deck somehow, and then I'm down.
Uh, there was a time where I was trying to play Pidgeot control with like the Blood Moon loop and the Bouffalants.
Mhm.
That's what you have to play here. You play Penny Blood Moon loop with a Pidgeot and the Kangaskhan's, and then you make the Bravery Charmed Blood Moon with Bouffalants and Lively
Oh
Stadium,
my gosh,
and they
we're
just are
immortal.
they're never dealing with it.
All right, so C tier, call it like such low percent. Are we giving it 2%? Yeah, all right, we'll give it 2%.
So it was I think it was more than 2% at Stuttgart actually.
Is it really?
Oh no, it was
1.5.
1.4%. But hold up for a second. No, I'm still 2%.
Oh, there we go. Okay, okay.
I'm just lying. I thought it was more than 2%. Yeah, two
So
percent's
maybe it'll
good.
be higher now, but yeah, definitely if I played Dragapult, I do not want to play against this deck. I think that matchup seems real bad.
It
Um,
it's just like it's annoying. It's really
yeah.
really annoying when you're playing three boss three counter catchers, and then you can like let them take the first two prize cards and play a bunch of counter catchers. Then it's not horrible. You can boss around the Kangaskhan like 5 times, but It is super, super annoying. You know when you play Dragapult Dusknoir against Grimmsnarl, and then Grimmsnarl just randomly has like Grimmsnarl boss on turn two? They just like knock out your only Dracoloak and it feels like horrible.
Yeah, and the game's just over.
It happened semi frequently here because they are just spamming run errand with 4 boss in their deck.
Yeah, and
Really, really
Pokey.
annoying.
Well, I can't care,
They
but
can't care.
yeah,
It's
they
really
kill their
annoying.
cloak and you fall behind. I actually have a game on this matchup, the Kangaskhan versus Dragapult matchup. I hit that in my video. So if you guys want to know how to play that matchup, check out my YouTube channel. Hopefully it's uploaded by the time this is uploaded. It probably won't be.
You got some work to do, man.
Dude, I do. And I have class. We'll see. We'll see. It'll come out eventually. By Monday.
On Monday. Speaking
Yeah,
of
maybe on
other
Monday.
Mimi decks that have huge Watchtower issues,
Alakazam.
I'm
Oh
realizing
yeah.
realizing Watchtower actually hits a decent percentage of the meta here.
Card's kind of good. It's like toss Watchtower into a Guardy Jellicent deck. Call it a day.
Is this C tier or B tier?
I'm gonna go C tier. I think the Guardian Pult matchups are atrocious. I
Alakazam
think.
cannot hang with that. I've seen some Gholdingo list playing Watchtower too. Doesn't seem great.
Yeah, it does not seem great
Slam it
because
turn
we don't
one.
really have it reliably. Oh, just like I mean, if you play Secret Box, go
Secret box for
second,
it.
turn one, Arvin Box, slam the Watchtower. I mean, that probably works versus Charizard Noctowl specifically, right? Like
That's
they
the whole
cannot play.
strategy. If you don't get it turn two, the second they know that you play it, they're just gonna stash their second area zero in their hand and then just hold it
Yeah,
until you tower. It doesn't really do much. But when you drop it turn one, there's no control over that.
yeah,
Yeah, I think Alakazam is a solid tier three deck, but I do think that its matchup spread when you take out Gardevoir and take out Dragapult is incredibly strong.
yeah,
I think that your matchup into Gholdengo is near unlosable. I think your Charizard matchup's actually not bad.
yeah,
I think you're beating a lot of the turbo stuff in the tier three, tier four, beating Raging Bolt, beating Terrabox, probably beating Dragapult Charizard, honestly. Maybe
yeah.
I'm maybe I'm lying with that,
Uh,
but I think that there's a good chance that you could beat that one because I played Charizard Pidgeot against this deck and it gets pretty scary.
yeah. If you're just like trading two prizers for one prizers, any deck that's doing that is getting destroyed, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I think that this deck is better than people give it credit for. Maybe it actually is adequately credited. It was about 3% in Stuttgart. I think that's actually a pretty fair assessment for this kind of deck. Kind of Mimi deck seeing 3% is actually very rare. 3% is
yeah.
a lot of meta share for any Pokemon deck that is Alakazam to Dunsparce. So that was about what it was in Stuttgart. Do you think that's where it stays? Do you think it picks up a little bit more?
Yeah, I think it's just about the same. I don't see any reason for it to be higher than it's been. Um, yeah, I feel like maybe like Dragapult's probably going to get a bit more play. That's bad. Charizard's going to get more play. That's good. Kind of balances out.
Yeah,
3%.
3% is good. Ends Zoroark. This deck is going to be tier one, I think, in about a month. It's
Yeah.
not there yet, but still deck that is positioned reasonably well. Not crazy. It's not horrible. Got Dango problems.
Got Dango problems.
Charizard problems
Um,
are a little bit better now. Actually, Charizard problems are a lot better now. Charizard Noctowl sucks at dealing with Watchtower.
yeah. And that was your strategy before, and now it's just even better. They're not playing Max Belt, which I actually think is like a very big deal.
So big.
Um, you could put a Psyduck in your Zoroark deck, and I feel like you would probably actually beat these Charizard Noctowl decks reliably, like very reliably. Uh,
I agree.
well, I guess. Oh, sorry, I forgot they have Klefki. I mean, like they still have to hit the Klefki combo.
Klefki combo under Watchtower Iono is just never happening.
Yeah, no,
It's super, super chalked. I actually think that End Zoroark is gonna be just like insane next set. I like the Psyduck in here actually. Not even just for Charizard Noctowl. I kind of like the Psyduck for Poltmore.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely good there as well.
Seen some lists playing like double Turo and a Lopunny line. I feel like double Turo is actually pretty synergistic with the Psyduck. You're able to like eat a dive 60, just Turo the Psyduck. You have Monkey
Totally.
Dories to send 30 off the Psyduck to prevent the mid turn Halucha knockout.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I actually think that it utilizes Psyduck better than a lot of other decks. Um,
Has Monkey as well.
yeah, I haven't fully explored it, but I've been playing some Zoroark. I played some Zoroark throughout the holidays because I feel like it's a deck I could see myself bringing to UIC or Seattle once that
Mhm.
Zekrom comes out. And I've been very impressed by how consistent it is. I've been very impressed by the actual matchups it has, and of course, if you guys have played Zoroark, and if you guys have watched Zoroark, you see how high agency the stack is. Makes it very, very appealing. So I'm pretty high on this deck. Next set, I'm still feeling that it's positioned better now than it has been. How do you feel about it?
I feel really good about the deck. I think it's one of the few decks that is really good into Guardy while also being pretty competitive into the rest of the format. I think the Pult matchup is favored by a little bit. Um, yeah, you have Dango problems. I don't know. I've seen a lot of crappy solutions to that, right? We've seen Toad Scroll. We've seen, uh, I
Darmanitan
guess, like
Blackbelt.
The Darmanitan. Personally, I would just kind of lean into the fact that you're losing that one, and I would play like the more Monkey Dories and maybe more Watchtowers and more like Turos and E Switch. I think those cards make a big impact against like Pult and Guardy. I think this deck's A tier. I think I wouldn't touch it because I frankly don't know what I'm doing with the deck well enough. And I think other people share that sentiment. So I think it'll be low play rate, but I think we'll see Liam Halliburton in the top 8 with Zoroark.
Yeah, that sums it up. You could see Labella run out of it. You might see a
Yeah.
Piper run out of it, right? There's a few people that play this deck. Um Vinny Fernandez shared that sentiment at LAIC, played Zoroark without any Dango answers to like top 16, I believe. Um
Yeah.
that list looked really, really strong if you could get over the bad Dango matchup. So exciting to see that, and yeah, we'll be touching base on this deck with that Zekrom coming out. That Zekrom, so good. Well, you can even one shot Dingo with any sort of damage modifier. You can get
Yeah.
through,
It's
um,
insane.
get through walls with a shred attack. It just got a lot to it, but
Wait.
uh,
Does it do 260? I thought it did 250.
just 250 with any modifier. You can actually play
Oh, with any
Practice
modifier.
Studio if you want to play that and one shot Dingo. Kind of cool.
Yeah, you could do that.
It's you can play Vitality Band as well, but the assumption is your Zoroark is probably going to die, so Practice Studio can actually stick, and you can just
Mm,
260,
do it
260.
twice. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
That makes sense.
Also, you can also just do like the Janine Mochi strategy, which is cool,
Yeah.
but a little bit harder to execute. So Secret Box for Practice Studio is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, that's a very theoretical idea that might be terrible and I might get roasted for. So let's move on from that. That's this Zoroark deck is still really good, but still really, really bad simultaneously when people play it. Uh,
Wow,
36% win
36%
rate
win rate.
is an absolute
That's
abysmal
hilarious.
win rate. 239th is the highest placing Zoroark. Not going to
Oh
do
my
well.
gosh.
Not going to be played
No.
super highly. I'd put it at a solid 3%.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
Grimmsnarl. Another
Now
one of
of
our
Grim.
dark decks, which seem I don't know how I feel like people just aren't really talking about like these dark decks, Zoroark, Grimmsnarl, Absol. Um, I think these decks are all still pretty good. What do you think about Grimmsnarl? I think it's good against Zard, which seems to be kind of the latest development of the meta.
Yeah, I've played against actually a few Grimstarls around like 1800 on live, so it's not being talked about a bunch, but I've actually hit quite a few.
Hmm.
The one thing they all share in common is they all play Bidoof. Uh, Everyone is saying I'm not gonna let Charizard Noctowl run me over by going Candy, Dusknoir, Prime Catcher,
Yeah.
Frostlass, Dusknoir, the other Frostlass, and then blow up my entire board on turn 2, turn 3. So when you play the Bidoof in the deck, you just buy yourself a ton of time to even just naturally evolve into Frostlass. You can establish your Frostlasses even with Evo. If they get knocked out, you can pivot back into Bidoof and protect them a little bit too. Um, I think that Charizard matchup is one of the standout points for it for sure. I think that the Dragapult Dusknoir matchup is pretty strong. If you choose to play Psyduck, it is stronger, but I would still think that you are at least a slight favorite there. Not a heavy favorite, but a slight favorite. And then you are,
Hmm.
of course, at least a slight favorite into Gardevoir, although I don't think you're as much of a favorite as people used to think. Um,
Mhm.
so good into that top portion of the meta. Really, really bad into Goldengo. A lot of these points that we're making are also true for End Zoroark. This is another deck that sadly just
Yeah.
kind of gets folded over by Goldengo unless you play the the Tim Franklin Toadscruel Grimmsnarl deck.
Oh my gosh. No.
So I think that you do struggle with some of the weird stuff here. I do think your
Yeah.
Ceruledge matchup is hard. I do think your Raging Bolt matchup is hard. I think your Mega Absol matchup is hard. Your Tank Kangaskhan matchup is hard. Your Crustal matchup is hard. Honestly, your Ursaluna matchup is probably hard. You
Yeah.
you got the problem where you're a little bit over optimized for the top end of the meta, and bottom end of the meta will eat you alive rounds 1 to 5. But if you get out of round 1 to 5 purgatory to win your record, I do think you have a pretty good shot.
Got some consistency issues.
I
Like
don't
it's
think
a
it's
pretty
that bad.
solid B tier. It's not that bad, but I'm in my head comparing this to Zoroark, and I think the biggest standout. A lot of them are actually kind of bad into these fringe decks.
Yeah,
Zoroark has a bit more consistency.
yeah. Well, end Zoroark game plan into all the fringe decks is pray that their engine is Noctowl and slam down
Yeah.
Watchtower, and
Yeah.
or even just a
Works.
colorless. Mega Absol's engine is also really really bad into End Zoroark. It can't really draw cards under Watchtower, and then they can't really swing into you. I played that matchup actually. I played against like a Mega Absol with Zoroark, and I remember that I got like Reshiram knocked out and Stretcher discarded off Claw of Darkness like 3 times, and I just like still managed to win the game by attacking with like Zoroark copying Flame Body Cannon because they just could never swing into a Zoroark. They're just like sitting there passing.
Yeah.
So
You
felt
have like hourglass maybe to just keep
yeah,
getting energy back, and yeah.
yeah, the power glass. It's just sitting there poking. It was very interesting. Yeah, Grimmsnarl is I think a little bit too over optimized for that top end. But I don't think the consistency problems are that bad. I think it's a lot of the times a little bit of bad variance when you brick or just pairing into the aggressive decks. The thing that Grimmsnarl does really well is spamming lilies for 8, but one of the issues that it has is Dusknoir decks can force it off of 6 prize cards. One of the issues
Yeah.
that it has is cards like Turo, where you're incentivized to take prize cards against decks like Goldango to play around Turo. But you don't really want to take those prize cards because it means you draw less off Iono, less off Lilies, but your opponent will put you in spots where you have to. That is what I think more
Yeah.
so makes your consistency issues apparent in the mid game. Your early game consistency is actually really, really solid. So I think we're going low B tier on this one, but I think it'll still see, a solid 4 or 5%. Probably 4.
Yep. Yep. Definitely more than Zoroark will. Um, yeah, 4%.
Is that reasonable? What does this say? 4.3%? Yeah. Can't imagine it's gonna see more play than it has been. Maybe it will. That Charizard matchup is quite good. But
It is quite good.
I gotta get a 0.5% in somewhere, so let me go 0.5 here to
There we
get
go.
me
There we go.
back
Now
onto
it's back to
even.
even.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, Absol box. Uh, Man, I never know what to do with this deck. I feel like it's been such a running source of confusion for me. Like, are people gonna play this deck? Like, what it originally popped up, and I thought it just wasn't gonna. Or yeah, Tord popularized it, and ton of people played it, and then nobody played it, and then Tord won a regional, and then I feel like I thought they were gonna play it, and then they kind of just did it. I don't know. Where are you
LAFC,
at
it
on
was
this
super
Absol deck?
popular. Like
It
in the
was okay.
international tournaments, if there are Japanese players at the tournament, this deck will be played. That is that is what you have to know.
Okay.
I don't know how many Japanese players are going to be in Toronto. I imagine a single digit amount of them. But dude,
Yes.
this is the funniest thing. I don't know if I showed you this. If you go to Sao Paulo Masters, but you instead of looking at the deck filter, you look at the country filter.
Japanese filter.
Look at the Japanese filter.
Yo, and they're all doing like pretty good. What is that? Like five of them in top 64? Five out of yeah, most of them. I mean, Keto is the only one to not day two.
Yeah, dude.
It's a good day.
They're all showing up with the deck and they're all crushing it with it. So this is like half of the win rate right here.
That's hilarious. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll have to see. If you see a lot of Japanese players at Toronto, then maybe we'll see this deck see some success.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we can discredit it, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah, shout out Yoshiyuki. That guy's been putting the
Oh,
the
that's
deck
my
on his
go,
back for
bro.
sure. Yeah, that is dude. You're getting crushed
That's
at
just so sick, so nice.
you're getting crushed at AIC by that guy putting double frost loss in play.
Yep.
They're just crushing you with Grim. But yeah, like looking at the overall percentage at LAIC, it was 8%, and the second most played deck, well, third most played deck in day two, um, at
That's crazy.
11.4%. It is a substantial amount, but
Is it bad into Charizard? It is, right?
this is actually like a really big point of discussion that people can't seem to agree on. I saw Grant Manley posted like this like meta documents website. Did you see that?
No.
It's kind of cool. Anyways, it's like mini guides for the top like 7 decks in the format. Um,
Hmm.
and he talks about Mega Absol and says Cornerstone is bait. So he doesn't even look to go for a Cornerstone game plan against like a Charizard Pidgeot, not even a Charizard Noctowl, but just like a Charizard Pidgeot. So uh, people just don't really think that the Cornerstone game plan works, and it's a little bit gimmicky. And I've also just seen people attacking for Cornerstone in Charizard as well. Of course, like Charizard Noctowl also just plays Terrapagos.
Terrapagos, right? Yeah.
So here's my opinion. I think that the Cornerstone game plan is still the best way to play against this deck if it's Charizard Pidgeot. But if it's Charizard Noctowl, you just have to play a straight up Absol game plan, and then you have to just hunt after the ghosts and make sure that your Absol never gets one shot. But it's pretty hard to execute. So
Yeah.
I think with Charizard Noctowl being the dominant version of the deck, I think that Absol struggles quite a bit with that. That deck almost always gets Pidgeot on turn two. Even if it can't get Charizard turn two, it always gets Pidgeot turn two, which is like the most important thing. So uh, I think that Charizard, at least on average, is going to be favored, but I still would not want to see this deck with double Cornerstone if I was playing Charizard Pidgeot with just like the Chi-Yu, the Max Belt, or
Yes.
the Secret Box with Defiance Band. But my straight Charizard list, I've been considering playing Moltres plus Chi-Yu, um,
No, interesting.
and
For
it
Dango.
yeah for Dengo because you can like single prize board them pretty effectively. You just set up Charizard and
Mhm.
don't set up Pidgeot, and you just go Charizard attack into Chi-Yu attack into Moltres attack. Kind of
Yeah.
fun. It actually does work every time if you hit it. It's like an if, but it gives you a winning line. Um,
Cool.
and with um with Mega Absol, you just 110 with Moltres. Moltres dies, recur it, max belt Moltres, knock out Cornerstone, and then you just get destroy that Cornerstone route. So you really have to gauge on whether people are answering Cornerstone right now. And I do think people are answering Cornerstone right now, especially in Dango, but also with Charizard Noctowl as
Yeah.
that structural adjustment. So I don't expect Mega Absol to perform well. I don't think good players are going to play it, and I don't think players are incentivized to play it because they're scared of Cornerstone answers. Very similar to Kangaskhan Buffon in that sense.
Do we still go B tier? It feels disrespectful to put it C tier.
Did win a regionals. It's like such a player diff.
Yeah,
I
we can
mean,
go C tier if you want.
it
I'm
has
not
enough.
super opposed.
It has enough results, even if it's only like 3 players putting up the results, where it'd be hard to justify putting it in C tier. Like
Yeah.
it's got a regional dub, it's got a IC top four, it's got like a handful of top cuts on top of that. It's got to at least be B tier in terms of raw strength, right? Like Zoroark, if we're thinking
Yeah.
about it in the same light, would go in C tier if we're thinking about it in terms of that.
It's
In
like
terms of
pretty good into Guardy. It's pretty good into Pult. I think that's enough to justify a B tier.
yeah, it's really fun to play. I play this deck and I like really enjoy playing it. Just never seems to feel outstanding. I'm thinking it's going to be less played than it was played in Stuttgart.
Yeah. Like if it's over 5% in Toronto, I'll actually be surprised.
It's at 5% here. I'm thinking you maybe keep
Could
it
be
at
even
five
lower then.
percent, or maybe even
Let's
say
let's
it's
let's drop it.
4.
3, 4, 4. Yep, let's do it.
All right, lock it
We're
in.
hitting 100 here. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
on
yeah,
pace.
we're
Might have
cruising
to.
to 100.
Cool. Ooh, Ledge. This is actually a good deck. I feel like it's disrespectful that we haven't talked about this one yet. Hmm.
Disrespectful
I
and
think
Sarah
it's
Ledge
like,
in the same sentence, ladies and gentlemen.
I think uh, there was a time where I thought this deck was just better Dango. It's definitely just worse Dango. How much worse? Mm, You don't draw cards. Like B, C tier. How do you feel about this deck? It's definitely just worse Dango, right?
It's worse Dango outside of the fact that the core strategy is harder to tech for if you are naturally bad into it. But
Yeah,
not many decks are bad into it. Like if I'm an End
yeah.
Zoroark, I'm like terrified if I run into a Sarah
Yeah,
Ledge.
that's true. Yeah, you can't play Toad Scroll. You can't play your Watchtower doesn't do anything. You can't play Cornerstone if you're an Absol deck. Um,
I wish this
yeah,
deck could function without Squawkabilly. I think if this deck could
yeah.
function without Squawkabilly, it would be really, really good. But it always has to put Squawkabilly on the board, so it just loses like every game because of that. Like as a Charizard player, I actually lose most games where they get to 330 and don't have to put Squawkabilly in play, but they
But they
just
don't do
always
that.
have to put Squawkabilly in play.
Yeah,
Um, it has a reasonable Poltnor matchup. It has a really good Goldengo matchup. I actually think that the Charizard Noctowl matchup is not as bad as people want to say it is because Charizard Noctowl is playing 0 damage modifiers. The second there's a Defiance band in Charizard Noctowl, I think the matchup's horrible, but at least for now, if you get away without squawking and seizing, the Charizard player has some pretty bad attacking options early game. But you get folded over by Gardevoir,
yeah,
and
it's bad.
it's like so bad. I
We'll
think
go
you can.
go C tier.
Yeah, it's definitely C tier, but it's not. I think it's better than these other C tier decks.
Yeah, I would agree.
5, 6. What is Stuttgart?
I
Like
think
5,
that's high.
4? Oh,
Yeah,
but
four. Call four.
it's like Pokedad tier though. Like
It is Pokedad tier. If you're all right, if there's any kids watching this, and you got your Pokedad, please tell your Pokedad to play Dango Rocks. The best
dude,
call.
they're already playing
Don't
Alakazam.
Good children don't let their parents play uh Sarah Ledge.
You're dude, you were just talking about how I was being disrespected that we didn't talk about it like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, no, I just changed. We pivoted
Just change your
full
mind.
180.
Well,
I mean,
180.
the deck's like fine. It's just worse Dango.
Does it? Do you still think that it's reasonable into Poltnor? Or do you think it's like actually beating Poltnor?
Yeah, no,
They can't find
no.
Charcadets. Like they actually cannot get more than 2 Charcadets on the board ever. Every single
They
time
don't attack with Solrock on turn one.
dude, it's
I
okay. I
think you're
mean,
losing.
they actually play like the 80 HP Charcadet split now too, so that one can't even one shot a Badoo if you open it.
Hey, but you survive Halicha Phantom Dive.
You do,
That's pretty good.
which is semi good. But every single time I see this matchup play out, the Sarah Ledge player doesn't set up the second Sarah Ledge and they get board wiped. Even if they're down 5 prizes, that's the way it happens like every time.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely happens.
All right, we got Raging Bolt up next.
What
Raging
happened,
Bolt,
bro?
ra-
This deck used to be pretty good.
for a second when Mega Absol was being pretty heavily played, I feel like it wasn't that bad. When it was like 10% Mega Absol, this deck kind of crushed Mega Absol, which felt pretty
Mhm.
good.
Stango matchup is like really unplayable, right?
No, it's not unplayable. But you have
Oh,
to play. You have to play the Wellspring. You play Wet Bolt, right? You like let them take one, and then you go Prime Catcher, Wellspring, 2 gimme goals.
yeah, that works.
I think your Goldengo matchup's like the only selling point for this deck.
I feel like we put some time into this, and I don't remember why, but we determined that you still lose even with the water pawn. I think it was a combination of it being too hard to set up and then too hard to to sustain attacks after doing it.
Mm, I guess if you do that and your Prime Catcher's gone, and they just Soul Rock attack again, knock out like a
Yeah,
Fan Rotom, then you can't get
yeah.
around that, and then you go to odd prizes with your next attack.
And then so you have to have like follow-up boss, but you also need to get
Play Sada.
energies.
Play Sada.
You gotta, yeah, right. So like, it just didn't really work.
Yeah, you can't torrential pump for 2 either because you only do 100 to the active. Doesn't work.
Yeah. So then you have to like sob so that you could. It's just bad. It was just bad. Um,
Bad.
C tier and 2%, 3, no higher, 4% for Bolt, 3.
Dude, Bolt's down at 2.87% down here, man.
What? Yo, people stop playing this deck. I feel like
You
it
gotta go.
has like a loyal following.
You gotta go to
Guess not.
LATAM, bro. Like, if you go to LATAM, you know all about Raging Bolt. Dude, I was
Yup,
playing through
7%. Oh my
Bolt City
gosh.
when I was down here, man. Is that 6% Jolting Puck, 7% Raging Bolt? This is this is the dream meta.
What's going on?
Yeah. Raging Bolt's probably like 3%.
Yeah. Terrabox.
Is this D tier?
Yeah, bro. Like it's terrible.
This has got to be D tier because
I'm sorry.
you're not even beating like Alakazam or Sarah
No.
Ledge.
No. You can probably beat Kangaskhan Buffalon.
Oh, you destroy Kangaskhan, Buffalon, and Mega Absol. That is your redeeming factor right there.
And Zoroark. All right.
Terrabox, feel like it all. I mean, we need to talk about how Raging Bolt was also getting collateraled by the Watchtower percentage. Like this deck,
Oh yeah.
Terrabox gets collateraled by this Watchtower percentage as well.
It does. I thought this deck was like pretty good. But now that I'm thinking about it, it also has the same Dango problem, right?
Yeah, it does. It deals with it a little bit better because it has Energy Switch and has Sparkling Crystal, so it's a little bit easier to maintain attacks and play boss. But the Dingo matchup is not favored enough to justify playing it. Like I think that's one of like the selling points for the deck. Dingo matchup is supposed to be a little bit stronger, but it's not like a sure thing.
Yeah. Your Zard matchup seems pretty solid. Your Zoroark matchup seems pretty solid. I don't know. This deck is very weak to Iono. Oh no, Watchtower.
There's
Right?
no
Zoroark
way.
plays
Yeah,
Watchtower. No, you're not beating Zoroark.
Iono Watchtower seems really bad. They even like Zara can even just poison through the Pikachu sometimes or Adrenabrain if you leave damage on
Just one shot it. So C tier?
I think so. I think Flareon Noctowl is the best Terra deck that is not Charizard.
You're a little more stable against Watchtower.
Like Burning Charge is a way better attack than any other like discard energies or shuffle energies back.
Yeah.
Like the stability is so required right now. I'm definitely thinking that Terrabox is down in D tier as well. You're also not beating Kangaskhan, Buffalons, or Sarah. No, do you beat Sarah? Maybe you beat Sarah.
I think you beat, probably. Yeah, we're torrential pumping all their Charcadets. I think
maybe.
All right, we'll go D tier, and it's low play rate as well. I think
better than Bolt. Worse than
Bolt?
Oh
yeah. No, better than Bolt. Better than Bolt. Go 2%.
All right, let's cap off the Noctowl decks.
The Noctowl decks. Like this deck's also not great, right?
It's not. I mean, it's obviously not as good as any deck in A tier, but I do think that it has enough redeeming qualities that put it above most of the C tier decks. Like its Dengo matchup is good. It destroys Zoroark. It destroys Grimmsnarl. It has.
Wait. Hold on. I need convincing on the. Is it the Dango matchup? Is it actually good?
I mean, I think so. It's about as good as the Charizard Noctowl matchup is. You have the exact same game plan. You shove up a 2-prizer, and if they don't immediately prime catcher or boss and take one, then they're always set on a losing prize map where the Dengo player just goes, or the Flareon player goes 1, 2, 3.
But you have to start with the 2-prizer, or like Latias into it on turn 1, going first.
But you can even just like sack your energy attachment. Like you can just go into EVEX and pass.
What about when you go second?
Significantly worse, as is Charizard Noctowl into Dengo.
Right, yeah, because then you can't shove the 2-prizer, and then I think you're just losing the prize trade.
Yeah, you shove the 2-prizer, it just gets knocked out because they're all too squishy. Yeah, so the coin flip
is playable.
Yeah, the coin flip obviously is very relevant. But the nice news about the coin flip is if it's blind, then you're always getting game one going first.
That's true. Dingo's
As
calling
the
second.
as you go deep into the tournament, or people just know you're playing Flareon Noctowl, that surprise factor is a lot worse. Goldengo will choose to go first against you, but they still
Yeah.
do have to get into double Gimme Ghoul, take first prize. It's not that easy to do that.
It's fair.
Like single Gimme Ghoul just dies to Burning Charge Countercatcher.
Yeah, and then you're cooked.
Um, your matchups into Jelly Guardy is a little bit unfavored. Straight Guardy is even worse.
Yep.
Dragapult Dusknoir is going to be a little bit unfavored as well. How bad do you think the Dragapult Dusknoir matchup is? I think it's definitely unfavored. I'm not convinced that it's like horrible. The onboard stability is nice. Like you can definitely run them
Yeah.
off the board a decent amount of the time.
I think the problem is that Flareon just doesn't actually do a lot. Like you need Black Belt to kill Pult,
Yeah.
and if they just like wipe all your Hoot Hoots, I think you get your Hoot Hoots wiped a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, I
80
don't think
HP
it's
Hoot
good.
Hoot doesn't help as much as you'd like it to either there. Like I feel like it just gets brought up as the countercatcher target.
Yeah, you need to have two of them. You can also just get clopsed in some situations.
So I think it is. I think it's clearing Terra Box and Raging Bolt. It also should just be beating Raging Bolt. I'm not sure if it beats Terra Box, but I think it's at least a good abuser of Briar, which saves a lot of these linear prize maps. And
Yeah,
the onboard stability definitely at least puts it a little bit over for me. I think this deck is probably somewhere around here. What do you think?
yeah, that's good to me. Anywhere in the C tier, I think is reasonable. And another 2% deck.
Two.
Yep.
All right, we got a couple more. We got Pulsard up next.
Yeah, we should talk. This one is also um, pretty. You want to take the lead on this one?
Dude, Pulsard's pretty good.
Yeah,
Pulsar,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like we've. Oh yeah, you go.
dude, Pulsar like goes, I think like right about here in mid B tier in my books. It I think has one of the best Dango matchups in the entire format.
Yeah,
The game plan is so reliably good. Unfair Stamp is incredibly strong into their deck. The increase of play rate of Charizard Noctowl is so good for this deck as well. Super strong. Um, it doesn't have anything super crazy about it, but it takes its strong matchups there and slight unfavoreds into some of the other stuff. Dragapult Dusknoir, Gardevoir, both a little bit unfavored, but not horrible. There's no four monkey lists running around anymore, which was pretty bad for Dragapult Charizard before.
yeah,
I don't really care about the Guardy Jelly with the 2/1/2 Guardy. I feel like that's pretty manageable actually for Pulsard. I think it's quite reasonable for you to break through that. Um, you're going to have the ability to do them similarly to Pult Noir, and you don't really need access to the Dusknoir pieces to board wipe them early. And then late game, you can pivot to Charizard, or you can even just lead with Charizard if you get it set up fast enough. I think one of the things that you do have to respect though is with item lock at about 20%. Double Charmeleon I think is pretty important in the deck right now.
yeah.
Um, I can't really find a good way to put double Charmeleon in the deck.
Yeah, you got to
It's
cut some good cards, like a jamming tower.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not good. I don't know what you're supposed to cut. Oh, jamming tower.
but you have reasonable matchups against a lot of other stuff. I think your Mega Absol's fair. I think your Charizard Pidgeot's favored. I think your Grimmsnarl's maybe a little bit unfavored. You should be, I think, just fine into all of the Terra decks. And so I think, it's not a superstar anywhere, but it's also not losing anything too hard.
Yeah, I like it in the B tier. I don't think it'll be very highly played. Like I really don't. Like, are we giving it a 2?
I'm not sure what it's at actually. Pretty far down here. Dragapult
Oh my
Charizard
gosh,
point 0.82. Wow.
give it a 1.
Give it a 1? That feels like criminal. I mean, maybe.
I
Vegas?
feel like Azul did a really good job of calling this deck trash on his stream. Like,
1%. Yeah, it's gonna be 1%, I guess.
yeah.
We did not hit our goal of 100%.
No, I feel like just take the percent and distribute it over like Guardy, Dango, Pult, and Zard, and just call it a day. Like add like 3 to all of those decks, and I think that gets us there.
Well, yeah, we can have a little bit for other. Oh wait, we got. Sorry, we got. Do we even want to put these on the tier list? Can I just like?
No, bro. Like, no, I'm traumatized. But they're okay. They might be better than D tier. I don't want to talk about them. They might be C tier, but whatever. Zero. Like, I don't even know.
Here we go.
If I lose to one of these decks at Toronto Regionals, I don't even know. I don't
Yeah,
even know.
I can't even really make a comment on this Greninja deck because I just don't know anything about it. I should play some games with this Greninja deck. No, I probably shouldn't, but
No, it's got to be a waste of time. No one's gonna play it. If they
okay. Well,
do, I don't know. Again, like with Zard, I don't. You might get cooked. This deck might actually low key be good. Um, you get board wiped sometimes.
yeah, the the illustration rare is like $600, but it's beautiful. That would be my
It is
number
really
one
nice.
selling point to playing the deck. That I think that is my favorite illustration rare, the Greninja one.
Yeah,
It is really
it's
really
good.
nice. Yeah, let's go distribute some more points. Let's see where we're maybe missing some.
Mhm.
Sarah, let's just use Stuttgart. I
Sure.
feel like I feel like we actually did not miss that many categories. I guess if we combine the variants, you see Dango's a little bit higher at 17.
Yeah, we can
We can,
add
we
some
can
numbers there.
juice it up to 18 and be a little bit more
Yeah,
optimistic
add a
on Charizard
couple.
percentage.
Yep.
I
Yep.
guess up to like maybe 8 and 5. Maybe cap it off with like a percentage point on some guardies.
Yeah, and then we got 9% other. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to leave it. This is a format with a lot of decks, but not a lot of good decks. There
No.
are there are a few decks that are really really solid and a lot of really really bad choices. If you are down in the D tier, maybe consider your life choices. Maybe
Yeah, I
you
think
gotta.
anything in the B tier or above, you're gonna be competitive. Anything else, you're gonna have some fun.
I Yeah, I think that I think you'll see a potential deep run out of maybe a Kangaskhan Bufflon, maybe a Flareon. We'll see how Emma Hagen does, I guess, with Flareon. I feel like this Kangaskhan
Yeah.
Bufflon deck does exploit poor players well, at least. So I could see it having a deep run. It got top 32 in Stuttgart, so
Mhm.
you definitely see a run here or there. But if the conclusion is anything, people, Gardevoir Jellicent is still going to be in S tier for the next 3 months. Rowan's gonna send it back. He might decide to put another Lily's Determination in his deck this time. Might get up to three.
Oh. No, no,
Well,
no, no, no. I tried that. It's 2. It's you need the research. It's good. Trust. We're not getting crazy here. All right, we don't need to reinvent the wheel.
okay, well, in that case, Gardevoir Jellicent is the best deck. I've convinced myself a little bit on Gardevoir Jellicent, even though um, I'll probably not play it. We will be back next week. I don't even know what we're going to talk about next week. You guys let us know in the comments. If there's something you guys think we should talk about, let us know. We'll be sure to cover it. And check out Rowan's YouTube video
Which is definitely out by Monday.
on Monday. All right, guys.
See you guys.
Have a good one.